it and bring your worries to God and leave them in His hands and let go of your problems and know that they will be complete. You're also told not to divine and tell the future, as they're the work of devils and demons and forbidden. If you took all the events happening today and placed them in one hat, and dates and placed them in another, and the names of countries and put them in a third hat, you could come up with Iran, Congo, economic, February 20th, 2014. And from that, you could say that Iran will affect the economy of the Congo on February 20th, 2014. And as the days draw in closer, the people's eyes will turn to Iran and the Congo. Thus, I have just manipulated your thought patterns. These so-called predictions are just that, theories, and some have the same amount of truth to them as pulling names and dates from a hat. Okay, sometimes they're right, but to a point. There's always someone or something willing to draw the connection, no matter how trivial. Toss in a little fact and pow! The urban legend of the vanishing hitchhiker is born. These predictions have about as much chance in coming true as Jupiter does in affecting John King here on little old Earth. But we're drawn into it with the black chasm of faith and belief, because what I say is what's called lottery luck. You know, you buy that lottery ticket and you hit for $20, reinforcing the fact that the lottery is an easy way to make a buck, all the while forgetting about the $1,000 you spent trying to win in the first place to get that $20 ticket. Let's not worry about the things that are out of us control, as the famous prayer says. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know this. We are all die. Deal with it. Accept it. Live your life like today is your last and plan for 1,000 more. After all, if life is a gift, then it would be a waste to think about the things that are out of our control. I have done my part, and I have prepared for what is to come, although I may die tomorrow and never see it, but then my hard work will serve another purpose. I do not worry about it, as I just do as I'm told. I just have to make it through the night, as my magic 8-ball says, that it's possible that I will see Bigfoot under my clothesline in my backyard tonight, and he will be doing the Irish jig. Yes, I do have a clothesline strung across my backyard. So, therefore, I will be waiting at my window with great anticipation with my camera in one hand and my rifle in the other. Now, where did I put that film? Joe, back to you.
Oh, John, that was a good one for sure. I don't have a clothesline, so I'm not worried about Bigfoot knocking on my door. But you know what, John? It's absolutely true. We can only it does us no good to worry about the things that we have no control over, and you know that's where we have to give it up. Like you said, for people who don't believe in God, throw it to the wind. But for me, you know, I being a believer, I put my faith in God the Almighty, and that's what I do. And you know, Erin, in these troubling times, there is a certain level of spirituality or that faith that you have to have. Isn't that true?
I think it's very true. I think without that, I would probably be a blubbering mess on my living room floor with everything that is going on, just from reading the news headlines. I have to have that. God has worked in my life, and He's led me down paths and opened doors that I never could have imagined. Mm-hmm. But to this point, I've been kicked in the butt a few times, as a good parent would do. But He set me straight. He set me on a course and a path, and He's not led me wrong. I have to have faith in that, so that gives me faith in the future that He's going to lead me the right way. And if it's my time to go, if I don't make it through this, my preparations, my hard work, what we have all sacrificed as a family here to have our preparations ready, will either remain with the family or go to hopefully another family that needs it.
True.
That's how I look at it.
And I actually consider that a blessing. You know,
I do too.
If you don't make it through a great tribulation and your life's cut short for whatever reason, consider it a blessing.
I'm going home.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how simple it is. Yeah, to me.
Absolutely.
I'm not scared. I'm like Greg. I love listening to Greg's rants. I get on my own rants. I rant about the evilness. I rant about the horrible people that are doing things to other people and what they're doing to this country. knowing that this country will never be the same. My kids are not going to have the same childhood that I did. And I do like to rant, but that's okay. That's righteous anger.
Sure it is. You know, the Bible is quite a bloody it's a bloody book.
It
you
is.
know? It's full of righteous anger.
And can I add something to that for all the ladies in the chat?
Sure.
I have this big thing on my blog that ladies, and I wrote an article on it, Greg will probably chuckle, it's called Grow Some Ovaries, okay? These ladies these days, you have got to get with a program. Greg will tell you, you have got to learn to be armed because you've got to protect your family, your preparations. You've got to not be scared of those guns, and I'm tired of hearing women that say, oh, I can't have a gun in my house, my kids will get it. I'm done with that. We're past that point. Get familiar with them. Find the ones that fit you, that you're comfortable with, that you can take care of, and back your man up, back your husband up. Protect your family. That is your God-given job, is to protect those kids and your family. Am I right?
You're most certainly right. You know, I don't even feel like my kids are mine. They belong to God. I'm just their earthly guardian here.
They were a gift to you for a short while.
That's right. That's how I feel. And there's an age of atonement. And after that age of atonement, then they're responsible for their actions, you know?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's up to us as parents, you know, and everybody out there. I mean, with a decent head on your shoulders, you know that you need to instill personal responsibility, these core values into your children so that they don't end up being mindless zombies. Because, you know, we've lost that ability. Would you say, Griff, you brought up earlier the 1940s, what makes this different between the 1940s and today's generation. And I believe, because, you know, I'm part of the Generation X, I guess you could call it, but I see a lot of people my age that just don't know how to survive. They don't know how to hustle. They don't know how to say, oh, you know what, I lost my job. Well, I got to hustle to make a buck instead of just go on the government payroll. You know, it's that self-preservation, that spirit of self-preservation is gone, or it's few and far between. And that safety net, those programs, these entitlements, they weren't there then, you know, during the Great Depression and the early part of the 40s. It wasn't until FDR's sweeping reforms that those actually came into being. And even then, they weren't nearly as encompassing as they are today, wouldn't you say?
Did you know Eleanor was lesbian and had her own house away from Franklin?
I heard harems too.
Hmm?
I heard harems too. She had quite a.
I don't know. Little levity there. That's true, though. Amelia Earhart was also lesbian. She married a banker so she could fly and pay for her airplane down through history. Franklin Roosevelt was the president when I was born. Mm-hmm. And I've looked at Franklin and everything he's done. There's so many things I want to say. I don't know how to say them. I don't know how to get it across to the listeners from another generation. My generation, I'm so proud to say my generation of the 1940s. I'm so proud of that. I get emotional over things like soldiers and the flag and Braveheart and the Patriot. I get very emotional over that. My generation would have kicked ass today. No mistake about it. All my soldiers that fought during the Second World War would have kicked ass, and there's no other way to say it. Mm-hmm. We're coming down to that period right now. Greg is absolutely right. Erin's right. Things are about to change. Everything that we've known is about to change. And the people today are not going to be able to handle it because they've been taught to be soft. My generation in the 1940s, the men that died on Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, all over the Pacific, the people that died on the Franklin, 800, 900 men died in one time, just on and on like that. They thought they were fighting for the country and for their people and what their country represented. This generation today has been taught not to offend anybody, not to have any opinion, because opinions are wrong. It's right out of the playbook of Brave New World, 1984, Fahrenheit 451. And I don't know how you talk to people like that. They will They will listen. They will sit on their ass and do nothing. They will just sit there and do nothing and agree with you. They will store potatoes and some freeze-dried and sit there. You've got 40 million people sitting around the Gulf right now dying, and we've talked and talked. I've been doing this for 12 years. I did the math on my fingers today. We've been doing this for 12 years. Every day of my life for 12 years we've been focusing on these issues and trying to dissect them and make sense out of them. And I've come to the point today where I'm pretty burnt out on all of this. I really am. And I see people sitting. They're sitting and giving lip service to things. But Greg, you're right. It's about to change. And I think November the 8th, I think Cliff High is dead on his predictions on that. I think it's about to change. I think we've got like 3 weeks. 3 weeks to do what we can do to get ready for it. And it's going to be marginal. It'll probably not be adequate. But you don't stand on the railroad track like my little story about the man standing on the railroad track, train coming at him, and he's praying to God to stop the train. Well, you run like hell, get off the track, run as fast as you can, and pray as you're running, in that order. You know, many people will stand on the track, and the train will hit them while they're praying to God to save them. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that at all. I've had a lot of experiences in my life. I'm I take after Erin. I'm streetwise, you know. That's why I told you to change the name, Joe. You put a big bullseye on the radio station and on your forehead by doing that, and they will come at. It's like the redcoats during the Revolutionary War. You know, the dumb thing they did, they wore red coats. How dumb can you get? You know? And they made good targets.
Yeah, they sure do.
I forgot what the question was, Joe, but I enjoyed talking.
No, well, hey, I like it too. Question from the chat room, Griff. You have 12 fingers?
Not right now. I used to have 12.
Oh, I see. Well, you know, Griff, it's funny, but I don't know why it happened or the timing just happened to be right. And my father sent me an audio book. I can't remember if I told you this. First audio book I ever listened to, and I figured that, holy mackerel, I have so much time on my hands commuting back and forth to work. These things are great. And so what I did was, it was about the Johnstown floods of 1889. And would you believe that back then, of course, they had their quote-unquote tinfoil hatters that were talking about the South Fork Dam and how one day it was going to break. One day it was going to break. And, I mean, they talked about this for 10 years. 10 years. What happened was, for everybody to have a little background, back in the 1870s, the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club was created outside of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And this dam, which was up on a mountain, was there, and it was already there for about 40 or 50 years. It was an earth dam. And when the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club took over, this was all of your Pittsburgh tycoons that went to their little club during the summertime to get away from Pittsburgh and to do their thing. People like Andrew Carnegie, last name like Mellon, those guys right there, prominent bankers and industrymen went up there to vacation, but they were also responsible for making sure that that dam was maintained. Well, they didn't maintain it adequately at all, and because of that, there was a lot of talk about, one day the dam's going to break. And there were some heavy rainstorms, but you know what? The dam held pretty much each time. Well, one day in 1889, they got a tremendous rainstorm, and in that day, the dam broke. And over 2,000 people were killed. Out of 30,000 people, 2,000 people were killed, which is a pretty good chunk of the population, and it could have been much worse. But the fact of the matter is, that was kind of like a little snapshot from history about what we're facing now. Because here's this dam that is set to go at any time, and these storms come by, and it just holds, and it just holds, and it just holds. Well, The day's coming, and it's soon, when that storm's coming, that's going to break